welcome back. So tonight I thought I'd share around cultivating peace. I've been thinking about this topic for quite a while, particularly when I don't feel so much peace in my life, when I feel a little bit of unsteadiness. So, and that it's quite often those difficulties that enable us to look a bit more into how we can regain maybe some steadiness or peace. Peace in itself is actually a really high level of, if we look very deeply into it, a really high level of inner peace, inner stability and ease, and so many beautiful words. Some even describe it as nirvana, this peace in itself. There's many ways that we could describe and talk about it. And we can look at peace, internal peace and also external peace. So tonight I thought we'd look a little bit more at, perhaps more around within ourselves, for ourselves. And I know for myself, when I'm feeling a bit more peace and steadiness, it tends to flow out and have a positive impact on others and the world around me. I'd love to read again what Thich Nhat Hanh says. Thich Nhat Hanh is the Vietnamese Buddhist monk. He says, "Every breath we take, every step we make, can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity." Imagine that. Every breath, every step, everything that we do, it can be filled with peace, serenity, and joy. So how can we bring more of this peace? And maybe take a moment here to think about what peace means to you. It could be how some people describe it as enlightenment, nirvana, or it could be just a sense of ease, a sense of feeling okay. Let's pause here for a moment and consider what peace means to you. No right or wrong. So how could we bring more of this peace into our lives? And how can we let go of the unnecessary suffering and pain that is an obstacle that prevents us from having that peace? I've been thinking about this, and I notice when I do feel a lack of peace, I notice that there's a wanting more. There's a wanting something different, a different experience. Not just wanting that double scoop of ice cream. It's a little bit more about wanting a different outcome as well. There's that desire. And I've also noticed that there's a lack of peace when there's anger, dislike, not wanting something, pushing something away. And in its simplest form, we could relate to that as, again, maybe some food, something you don't like to eat. And maybe if we personalize it a little bit more, it's around not wanting those uncomfortable, difficult feelings, emotions, thoughts. Yeah. And then at other times I just notice there's just a confusion. And that doesn't bring me peace either. In Buddhism, these three unwholesome mental states are regarded as three poisons. Three poisons. And for me, it's a way of explaining or thinking about how I could bring, how peace is not within my reach when I'm desiring, angry, or confused, ignorant. So tonight I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. And perhaps you can relate to it in your life as well. Relate to these unwholesome mind states that keep us separated from deep, true peace. They keep us separate from our essential nature, that beauty. So when we look at desire, other phrases, other words that you could use would be greed, attachment, attached to things, attached to people, attached to your title. Attached to worldly goods. And there's like a lust, there's wanting more. So in many ways, this serves us because it promotes our survival, this wanting more, this a growth mindset, moving towards what's going to serve us, what's going to be helpful in our life, what's going to support us. But at what point does it cause us suffering? At what point does it then go to we're so attached or we're so desiring a certain object or outcome that it starts to impact on our peace? And each one of us are different. Each one of us. Comes to our own understanding. And with the other poison, hatred, it is a human emotion. It's a human emotion to desire as well. And anger and hatred are human. It's part of being human. But at what point is that anger, that hatred, that dislike causing us to lose our peace, our connection with our higher sense of self? At what point is it taking us to unwholesome actions, unwholesome thoughts? Can you think about a recent situation, perhaps nothing too heavy, nothing too traumatic, where perhaps you noticed yourself wanting more, desiring more, attached to something? And it was painful. It was hard. And you lost your peace. You lost that sense of steadiness or ease, perhaps, whatever it means to you. And what about for anger? Dislike, not wanting, pushing away something, someone. Have you noticed that also recently? And those strong responses, did it push you into a certain direction, a certain type of responding or reacting that you sort of felt, well, yeah, was I really coming from my highest sense of self to react and respond like that? How could I have made better choices? How could I have perhaps said that or done that in a different way to create not only peace and harmony for myself, but also perhaps for others that are involved? So this is not about being passive. It's not about not speaking, not about not being true to yourself and speaking your truth. It's about seeing that gap between the situation and how you respond. Do we react with desire? Do we react with anger? Or do we see the situation with greater clarity? And respond more compassionately, with greater wisdom and understanding for ourselves and for others? The third poison is the ignorance, the delusion. That lack of wisdom and understanding. So what these teachings are pointing to, we have a little bit more of an understanding about what drives us to want more, what drives us to not want certain things, and also what keeps us out of the light, what keeps us ignorant. Have a greater understanding of these things in our life, then I know for myself it's brought me more peace, more ease, more balance, a more sense of being honest and authentic for who I am. And it just feels good. It feels so right to be able to respond rather than react, to come from a place of wisdom and a bit of understanding. And that keeps the peace for me. So when we're cultivating peace, we're cultivating perhaps what matters to you in your life. And as we did in the meditation, we kept coming back. We tried to keep coming back to the present, to that moment-to-moment awareness, using mindfulness of the body, the sensations of the body, the sensations of the breath, these powerful tools that we have that are with us all the time. bring us back to be present, to notice the situation that's arising, to have the clarity and the wisdom to see that space before we respond in a wholesome, wise way. So that we're not doing harm to ourselves. Ahimsa, no harm to ourselves, no harm to others. Mother Teresa says, peace begins with a smile. Peace begins with a smile. The simplicity of a smile, perhaps for some of us that can help us let go of that striving, that wanting more, that desiring, or those being with the strong emotions of anger, hatred, being with the confusion, the ignorance, bringing a little bit of curiosity and lightness to it with a little bit of a smile perhaps. So what does peace mean to you? What brings peace into your life? What does peace look like in your life? And also, what prevents you from being peaceful? What prevents you from being peaceful or having that peace? In your life, in your mind, emotions perhaps as well. However you define peace. Let's take a moment to reflect on that. What brings you peace in your life? And what prevents you from being peaceful or having peace in your life? Let's sit here for a minute or so. Perhaps consider the connection between peace and being present, being in the now. I noticed the other day when I just stopped from an extended period of busyness. I just sat, looked out to nature, It was though I'd never seen it before. To me, it was when peace and a sense of presence, of being in that moment, and everything was okay in that moment. It doesn't need to be grandiose, this idea of peace. It can be this moment here, you being here with your bottom to the ground, your breath flowing. And like Thich Nhat Hanh says, in the simplicity of what he's saying, it can be in every breath, in every step, if we choose it. If we choose it. I'd like to close with something that His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, has said. Everybody wants a happy life. This goal is entirely dependent on our inner peace. We are trying to seek a joyful, happy life from the outside. That is a mistake. Shall I read it again? Everybody wants a happy life. So this concept of desiring, wanting more, wanting something different, this being dissatisfied with what we have now, the unsatisfactoriness of life. Everybody wants a happy life. This goal is entirely dependent on our inner peace. So we can choose that. We're trying to seek a joyful, happy life from the outside. That is a mistake.